So how you all doing? You got over the turkeys and all that, whatever you guys eat, puddings. I hope you didn't overindulge. But yeah, really it's a time for people to get together with family, people they haven't seen for a while. But our New Year's coming up, June 26th, right? That's when we celebrate our New Year. So yeah, that's a really good point. Let me just touch on that because I was reading some of the comments from the video we made about, somebody asked the questions about animals, and I literally just read from the 33 commandments of the Sabians, and some of the comments were funny, and I just want to say, I know sometimes people forget that we are a culture. So that's what we do in our culture of wu-sabat. We don't impose our culture on anyone, but those who choose to embrace and live the culture of wu-sabat, we have our own, way of life. What we do with animals, how we conduct ourselves, our ethics, our moral standards, everything that involves a culture, our language. So when we say things from our culture, people kind of sometimes they get like, I'm not doing that. If you're not a part of the culture of wu-sabat, it doesn't apply to you then. It's only applying to those who live the culture of wu-sabat, because it actually says, in the title, the 33 commandments of the Sabians, So don't get too, if you want to live your life as a Muslim or Christian or a Jew or whatever else that you choose to live by, that's down to you. But we teach you and make, we read the scrolls from Parnabab Yanun, Dr. Malachi Z.K. York, what he has inscribed for us, for wu-sabat, for our culture. All right? Just wanted to get that out of the way. This is the year for graduation, so I hope you guys have been studying. I mentioned that, typical degrees can be like 2 years, 3 years, or even 4 years. And we've given you so much by way of Parnabab Yanun in terms of knowledge that, you're almost ready for graduation. We're gonna cover more this year, of course. And then, like the Master did, he covered the monotheistic religions and ended them with the 360 questions for each major monotheistic religion, as well as the degrees that he published, thousands of pages, the degree of Christism, the degree of Mohammedism, and the degree of Mosesism. So those complete that, and then of course, he put the icing on the cake with the holy tablets, which expressed everything they were trying to express, going back to where they plagiarized and got the teachings from. And he also ended that, for those who were paying attention, he says, as it was written, or as it was received. Let me see if I can just find the quote that I'm talking about. And he sealed it and said, all right, that's it now. Time for us to go to the next level and move on to actual facts, Partarak, and Master's Secrets. I know avid readers and students that study know what I'm talking about. It's something like, as it was received, so it was given, or something like that. Basically, if anyone knows what I'm talking about, put it in the comments. And so when we say to people that it has expired, we're not saying do not read it anymore, because you've got people that they get the medicine that the doctor prescribes, and even when they're they're healed, they want to continue taking it. And it's like, no, you're healed now. Let's move on to the next thing. And so, yeah, by all means, study everything that you can get your hands on from the master teacher, but don't ever get stuck. It's all about evolving, and the journey from cradle to grave. I can't find it, but yeah. So let's have a look and see people on Facebook. Nephthys Rahubat, Nelson Rahubat, Tiapala Rahubat, Princely Rahubat, Anunnaki Prince Gold and Child Rahubat, Jay Rahubat. Yeah, remember you can call in live to ask your questions. I think we've got a call already, so let's get into it. Greetings, caller.
Just connecting. You're on.
All right.
He's on.
Greetings, caller. Rahubat, as we say. How you doing? What's your name? Where you calling from? And what's your question today, please?
My name is Kareth here from Jamaica.
Yeah, I'm getting used to your voice, familiar voice. How are you today?
I'm fine.
Okay, what's your question for today?
Well, before I say anything, I just want to say free the master teacher.
Freedom Master Teacher. It's all about freedom. Thank you for echoing that. We all need to keep that at the forefront. So yes, thank you. Let's free the Master Teacher. He's coming home.
Yes. So my question is about like vibrations and emotions. There's been a point in my life where I've been isolated for a long period of time.
Right.
And before the isolation, I always felt like I had a very high vibration. But ever since it reached a certain point after the isolation, I started feeling like my emotions don't feel as intense as they used to. What causes that? Why is that?
I mean, the simple term, scientific term that relates to that is called synergy, right? Synergy, it's like the more you build in momentum. So when you're by yourself, it's great. But when you're around other people who are vibrating on the same resonance frequency, you kind of like multiply because you're now connected with those other people. This is why, even though we say, I'm a part of the all, and the all is a part of me. You can succeed, or I can succeed, as a part of the all, but fail as an individual. It's almost like a simple way to look at it. Have you ever seen when you have like in snow, you have a ball and it's rolling down, but as it's rolling down and the ball is building momentum and is getting bigger and bigger and bigger because more and more snow is being added to the ball. So what I'm saying is that doing something on your own is great, but when you do it with other people, it's like the powers, the intensity is even more multiplied. And in the Bible they say that when you come together and you chant, for example, you can bring down the walls of Jericho. So isolation is normally it's good for a little bit of time, but you have to be amongst, together. When we say together, phonetically you can even hear the word together. So you have to gather. And this is one of the things that we constantly are emphasizing, that we are tribal people. We need to be amongst each other. And when you're amongst each other, you share and heal each other by way of the energy that you generate, you see. So you've got to now kind of get involved with a community or with other people, even in study groups, or just the energy that you share with other people is going to help you boost and recharge you. You see, this is why, even think about it, like if you're a musician, you can play an instrument by yourself and you can enjoy yourself and in isolation. But when you come together with a group of musicians or in a band, for example, and you all play together, it's a completely different experience. It's about sharing, it's about, you know, exchanging. That's why we always say each one teach one, because it's about everyone coming together in unification. And this can apply all the way in terms of when we start to deal with humanity and deal with, you know what I mean, us as a people around the world, and looking at how we have an effect on the planet based on the energy and the vibration, that we are projecting. You follow? So I would say to you,
Yes.
the next step is, it's like, the master put it this way one time, which kind of reinforced the point I'm trying to make. He said, I was always here, but the beauty now is of you guys waking up and being here. He said, when we had the land, Tamaray, with over 476 acres, he was like, this land is not for me because of myself, by myself. How can I live on 476 acres of land, like walking around by myself? He said, it's more of an achievement or a magnificent thing when we are all there together, and that's what brings it to life. Because, you know what I mean, it's like, imagine you have a house and you have like 5, let's say, I don't know, 50 bedrooms, mansion, house, but you can only live in one room. It's like, what's the point of having all the other rooms? So it's about the sharing, the caring, and the togetherness. And that's why I'm suggesting to you that, you know, the next thing now is to really interact with other people. You follow?
Yes. So, since we can be affected when we're isolated like that, but just imagine like a being that vibrates even higher than a human. How would isolation affect them? Would it affect them the same way it affects us?
In a certain degree, yeah, because you're more powerful, because when you're concentrating, right? This is where things like meditation and the concentration of the mind, because what happens is you can then focus and channel energy to your mind. And most of, you know, even when you deal with all these prophets and people that have come, they at one point isolated themselves so they can focus. And when you're talking about a being such as Parnabab Yanun, for example, you know, his mind and the ability to use his mind on a very high level is making him even stronger, because mental strength, you gather mental strength by challenging yourself or putting yourself to push yourself. You know, like when you're in isolation, for example, you might have so much time to yourself that, you know, you start to do exercises with your mind, or even you might be like, let me try and do 200 press-ups, and then the next time you might say, let me do 400, because you have the time to really concentrate and focus. And when you look at a laser is very powerful when the rays are gathered and then it's concentrated. You see, even like when you look at a tsunami, anything in nature, a tsunami, you might have a big ocean and it's calm, but the minute it actually, like, you know, focuses its attention and its energy in one, that's why I gave you that whole thing with the momentum, with the ball rolling. It's like, this is what happens with us if we come together and focus mentally on an object or or something we want to achieve, the momentum of that energy is going to be much more powerful than when you're doing it by yourself. You see, so these beings that are highly intelligent, even in the movies when they talk about the superheroes, like for example the X-Men. I always give the example of how Magneto is so powerful, because his power is really more about his mind. And that's why, the minds coming together can do literally anything. And you hear, no matter who the teacher is, the one unanimous thing that most teachers have in common or agree on, doesn't matter what religion, what background, what kind of status they have, they all agree that anything you put in your mind, you can achieve. You see, so that shows you that going away and focusing on the mind and then channeling the energy that you would use on other frivolous tasks, you can focus that energy and utilize it to manifest. You follow?
Yes. I have one more question though.
Sure, go ahead.
Us human beings, we have two-strand DNA.
Mm-hmm.
But I heard that human beings used to have 12 strands DNA. Is that true?
Well, again, you have to, I've heard it too, there's sources on the internet that, people will say all kinds of things. What I would say to you is that, like we say, the number system only goes up to a certain point and then it just compounds. The compounding is where you're really dealing with two states. So when you're looking at the two strands of the DNA, it's the whole polarity thing where you have, like we say, the 0 and the 1, because that's computer language in terms of the binary. So when you look at the DNA strand, it's more about the programming of the letters, how they're put in sequence, okay? That's dealing with the ACGT, yeah? That those letters are programmable. So the two states are always going to be there, the polarity and the neutral state, or the bit where you're in the middle. So you look at life on this planet and everything, it's based on that, the 0 and the 1, or the yes and no, left and right brain, male and female, and so forth. But you can then extend that to the point where we say you go, like I said, from 0 or 1 to 9, the 0 being that neutral state. So even when you're looking at everything in creation, when we even go down to the subatomic level, we start to look at, you've got two sides. You've got the side of from hydrogen coming this way, which is physical, and then you've got the other state going the other way. You look at numbers, you have a 0 in the middle, you can go from 1 to 9 going to the positive side, and you can go from -1 to -9, and then a new cycle of compound numbers start again. So sometimes when you look at beyond the 3 dimension, this is where I always give the example of, you will always have two states where, even where we look at the 3, you have the 3. Why do we say 3? Because as I said, you have the two polarities, and then you have the middle point. So when you look at the pyramid, that's 3 points. Yeah, the one to the left, one to the right, and the middle point going up to give you the apex, right? So when you look at things in 3D and look at the dimensions beyond that, then you're going to go to the point where you get to 9, because 3 on the spiritual side, there's a 3 on the physical side, like the hydrogen side going to the etheric side, the ethers going 9 levels that way. So when you exaggerate numbers, it doesn't mean that you're getting any more. It's just that you're compounding to the point where you're only going to get to 9 to the 9th power of 9. but it's just more and more and more and more cycles. So when people are saying 12, well, that's like saying 3, 3 gives you 6, you add another 3, you get 9, you add another 3, you're going to get 12. You see, and it just continues. It's a cycle. So the point I'm making is you can exaggerate things, even when you look at, masonry, because that deals with the 3 and the 3, as I said, 33, yeah? And 33 is meant to be like the highest, but really it's 3, the same 3 that I've multiplied to the point where you get to having what we call honorary degrees. So 3 or 33 is literally the same, because the 3 is just being multiplied and multiplied and multiplied, and you're going to get to the highest, which is 9, and then that continually gets multiplied and multiplied until you get to a point where you're like 9 to the 9th power of 9, because that's the best you can use to try and give a frame that seems like it's actually more than what it really is. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. Let me take some of the questions in the chat. Luis.
Voice note.
Oh, all right. Let's get that first.
Rahubat Seken, Rahubat Moisa,
Rahbat.
Anoki Tehoti Akenroye, Terry Jamal from Zambia. So just have a quick question regarding one of the titles, the names, or none which the master teacher used. I've seen this in most of the scrolls. The name Amun Nobi Ra Akpata. So like from this name, I can pick different titles for different deities, like Amun, Ra, Pata. So like what would be, or is there a relationship between the master teacher and this deity? Okay, like what is the link between the master teacher and these deities in this one of the titles which he uses?
Yeah, I hear you. There, I don't have it with me, but the scroll called the Coming Forth by Day, right at the beginning, there's a picture of the master teacher sitting down with that name. You have to break the word down slowly so you can fully understand it. So it says Amun, Nubi, Re, Ak, Pata, right? That's the full name, but we say Amanubi Re Ak Pata. But when you break Amun, Amun is relating to being the hidden one, right? And then also relating to, I just had a point on it. Amun relates to the hidden one, but it also, yes, the word I was looking for is, it relates to faith, or as in Iman, all right? You hear the word Imani, right? That comes from that word Iman, or faith. So when you're saying that word, if you break it down, it's saying the faithful informer, all right, soul of the Nubians. So he's like, and then Ptah obviously deals with the first, or the opener. So, because I don't have the scroll in front of me, let me see if it's even in the blackboard. But yeah, so the title is describing who he is, because like he's the first to come, because from the position of Amun, you go through the transition of Anun, right? To then, that's when you're dealing with the darkness or the waters, right? Where, like I said, things are hidden or are birthed from the waters. So if you even apply that to like a mother when she's having a child. It's done in the womb in darkness. So when you look at the sun, or you look at a circle and split it in half, the bottom part would be that Anun, right? But the last on the, let's say from the left hand side, going through Anun, then you come to where we say Atum, which is what people will call the sun rising from the darkness, right? Because people say the sun sets because it goes through the motion on that circle, right? It after Amun, it appears to set or goes down through the darkness, then comes out from Atum, then it rises or goes to the middle point where people will say Atun, and then so you have Atum, Atun, Amun, the three positions of the sun, and that darkness is the black, or what we call the black sun, and it also relates to not just the motion of the sun, but when you start to look at things from a galactical perspective as well, like, and the universal perspective and how the bodies move. So yeah, it's really describing him as Amanubi Ra'akpata, who is the Pata is that coming forth and being born again or starting again. Oh, here you go. I found something, right? So this is in the Black Book, right? From page 4, where he's asked Malachi, or should I call you Natir Atumre? Are you God? And then he says, 10, I, as a Natir, must let my voice be heard in the earth again. I am Re, who is, here's the word you asked about, Amanubi, Ruach Pata. The Ruach, that's what I was saying, is dealing with that sun, and the Pata, the opener, the Tum, or the Natir, Atumre. So when I was saying about the motion of the sun, the Atumre is that position right there at the beginning, and I'm going to tie that into when he came with the scroll, Amun Institute, right? So he's saying the Tum, or Natir Atumre, I am that I am, yeah, and I will be what I will be. I metamorphosize as the great Yusri, or caterpillar, wisdom, onto Taslug, the cocoon, strength, on into the most beautiful Farasha. When you look at the word Farasha, you're dealing with that beautiful, like a butterfly. So when he's saying metamorphosis, it's explaining how, as you say, the caterpillar goes through that process to become a butterfly. And we tie this to the books of Malachi chapter 4, verse 2, where it says that he will come with the healing. Yeah, the Son of Righteousness will come with the healing. So when you're saying that sun, that birth coming out of the Nun, as the Nun project, and coming into the Atumre, and these are also representative of different states of our culture. When we say Wunuwapu, I'm going to find Amun Institute so I can read something from you from there as well, which ties in. But let me finish this first. So it carries on, it says, I, Natir, Amanubiru Akata, Tum, take men, light, known, and women, darkness, mystery. Yeah? That's why I said about the woman is considered to be a mystery, because the way she birthed other Natir or gods in darkness. And so known as women, darkness, mystery, mere mortals, and make them into Natiru, or make them into God. Yeah, so the question is asked, what is meant by women is darkness and men is light? He goes on, 14. Women are inner beings and men are outer beings, or exposed beings. Women have vaginas. The contact between the sperm of the male and the ovum of the female can only happen properly by insertion of the phallus into the vagina. 16. Her fertilization in her ovaries or ovum takes place in the darkness of her womb, but the sperm produced in the seminal vesicle onto the prostate glands must be ejaculated outwards. 17. To ejaculate is to separate the life from the darkness of the inner being and put it outside of oneself. However, the orgasm, as in the word organs, is done on the inside of the woman in triple darkness. So she is the seat of the mysteries, called the mistress of darkness, unlike the male or man. Okay, let me find, so it goes on to explain when I was saying about when you look at it from a universal perspective, where you've got, Caffrey, yeah, which relates to how the babe that crawls on all fours, the dove, scarab, as the sun pushes up in the morning. So he says, I am that ray. Ray relates to the sun, yeah? The man that walks on two in midday sky, and I am the atom, yeah? The elder that dawdles along with staff on three in the evening as the sun sets. I am of the woman, the goddess of the gods, the Natert of the Natir. I am the remover of the illusion of the sun in motion, the master of all time, who's setting all on the path of Taful, in which we have 9 positions. And then obviously that ties back to the 9 ether, but let me see if I can find the scroll. I want to read you a little bit that ties into those three positions. Bear with me. All right, here we go. That chair. Bear with me. It's important. I will find it. Okay, here we go. No, that's not it. I thought I had it. Anyway, I can't find it right now, but I will still go from my dome. It's explaining that each one of those positions, because remember, we've known the master, we've known him by many titles like Natir, Authority, Atumre, yeah? So each one of those positions relates to Wunuwapu, or the different amount of information that we received in the different schools known as Wunupu, Asanupu, and Nabanupu, which all three are different parts of the information we received totally as wu-sabat or on wu-nawat. All right, that's what I wanted to find to read you. I can't find it right now, but if I do during the live, we'll go back to it. But yeah, that's relating to that being and the title as Amanubi Ruakpata. All right, let's go on to the next question. Okay, let's start with the ones on Facebook. Again, when you ask a question, please try and be specific, because, and like, if you can, give us the reference. If it's from a scroll, quote the scroll, page number, if you can, and then we can be clear on your question. All right, this is from Louise. It says, are there those amongst us who have strange things happening, like their eyes turning white? Yeah, we're living in a day and time where many strange things are happening to many different people, because we're dealing with transformation. The master teacher explained to us many, many years ago that if you're not actively working on yourself and preparing yourself to transform yourself inside out, then whatever has been planted in you, right, the time's going to come where it will come out. Like people, real natures will come out. We're not going to be in a situation where people are lying or hiding anymore. Like we're living in the day and time of truth. But there are so many things going on in the world right now in terms of the diets, the things we're eating, the radiation, and the many, many things that we're exposed to that, you know, and there are people who are actually, you know, some are clones, some are, you know, extraterrestrials, some are shapeshifters, some are just transforming themselves from the inside out and becoming who they really are. So it's a bit vague, but yes, there are many people that are now like they're transforming. You know, some are regressing back to the animal nature. If you've been just feeding your animal nature and haven't been growing, like we were saying before, your mentality has to grow. If you're not growing mentally, then you're just focusing purely on the physical, then you'll be regressing, ascending and descending souls. We have a call? Okay, let's go for that.
I just wanted to ask, because the master was arrested, you know, after he acquired the land and everything, after he gets out, what will be the plan? Will you still try to obtain that land, or will you try to move back to Africa because of the catastrophes that will happen there? Because I think personally, I think he'll try to come back to Africa, but I just want to know what if he says something about it.
Yeah, the master teacher has always spoke about us rebuilding, and the blueprint, or the black print as we like to say, was, you know, Tamaray, and trying to bring something like it says. You know, when people say in religion, they talk about, they say the Lord's Prayer and they say heaven to come down to earth. Yeah. And even in the books of Revelations, it talks about heaven coming to earth. And we literally, with the guidance of Pana Babyanun, we built heaven on earth. And it was a very beautiful place. Anyone who ever was able and had the opportunity to visit would tell you that. But again, it was also to show you that who would destroy heaven? Who would want to destroy heaven other than the devil? So yes, that was to show you that if you build something that is, let's say, heaven, then the opposite to that is going to be hell. So those who want to destroy something as beautiful as that, they want to have you in hell, basically. So yeah, but to answer the question, he has spoken about rebuilding, not just in Africa, but, you know, different parts. But nobody would be able to really tell you what the master's plans are or what he's going to do, you know, when he gets out. So one of the things we keep telling people is be in the family, be, you know, in the community, go to stores and get involved, you know, so that you will be able to get updates and get things in terms of what plans are being made, because not everything is going to be divulged publicly. So if you really want to know, read the scrolls, because it gives you information right there as well. But yeah, come close and be close to the source. All right, let's go to the next question. Neil Gregory. Dr. York talks about the barythry gland. Were we physical beings, and what time was this? Was this part of our development? Yeah, we were physical beings and still are physical beings. The thing about when information or affirmation is presented, if someone's not familiar with it, their first reaction is to try and refute it or say it's not true. But all you have to do is do some research. Now, scientists, okay, people donate their bodies and their brains, and you know, when they cross over, some people donate their bodies for scientific research. And the brain has been studied, you know, tremendously. And they slice and cut, you know, any organ and the brain to study. And the reason I'm saying that is because when you do that, you can see the pockets where glands are contained, all right? And the illustration would be like, if you held your hand like this, and imagine I had a ball inside here, and this socket was where the gland was. And then you look around the brain, and there are other sockets that look exactly the same. But on one of them, you can see that something is missing from there, where you can see like three, let's say as an example, 3 balls inside the sockets. And the one where the barotheric gland was, because it was surgically removed, it is now empty, but it has the remnants of the nerve endings, because when it was being removed, they had to make sure that they didn't damage the socket or the nerve ending. So you still have the ability to have access to some of this higher, or these higher senses, although it is not as potent or as powerful as it used to be. And this is why we still have, you know, the ability to have telepathy, where we can just think of somebody and communicate mind to mind. And you can train the little that you still have. You know, there are many books that people write on, you know, how to train the brain to have better memory, to remember things, etc., etc. Intuition, you know, awareness that you just have without you having to be told something. Clairvoyance. Many people have the ability, if they're highly spiritual, to be able to see in, when we say clairvoyance, we're saying clear vision. You can see clearly into different dimensions and be able to manifest things. You can see people's auras. You can even see, you know, when people are transitioning, because they've now shed the physical body, they still have that, what people call an apparition, or the spiritual body, you see. So that's dealing with these four higher senses, which is telepathy, intuition, clairvoyance, and psychometry. So yes, it's physical and it can be replaced, or if you already have it, it's not activated and it would need to be reactivated by one who can and knows how to. So answering your question about the barotheric gland, you know, this is something that if you go back and look at the scrolls that he's written, like the Man from Planet Risk and many, many scrolls, when you say what time was this, this is going back, you know, millions of years ago, because when something is removed, it takes time to, generation after generation after generation, it kind of loses its potency. But he has said the elders, they're able to reactivate it, and this time they will put it under what you call your chin, but it's referred to as the submental, sub relating to under, or like submarine, sub, but they will connect it to the mind or the mental. And there's a recording, a Patarak reading on YouTube called The Journey, where he explains how, you know, he went onto a craft and he saw these little balls, which he learned later on to be barotheric glands that were ready and prepared for those who will receive them. So not everything that he teaches, you know, like I keep saying, like, and we say, wu-sabat deals with the doctrine and our outformation into information. And it's normally hundreds of years ahead, because you're dealing with an extraterrestrial that is a visitor here. So sometimes things may sound strange to people, but now everything that people are teaching, If you go back and read the scrolls he put out many years ago, he was first to talk about these things. You know, we teach what he teaches us, and we know that, you know, go back and watch the video. We did a video about, what was the title of that video? What to expect going forward from...
Be prepared for this year.
Yeah, be prepared for this year. And that was in 2025, we did that video, and we explained, like, going from 2025 to 2030, you're gonna see lots of things, and look at what's happening on the planet right now. And so what we're saying is he's a visitor, so he teaches about things that many may not know about, or it may be new information to people, all right? But yeah, if you want to read more about the barothry gland, get hold of the scroll known as The Man from Planet Risk and others. And it is still part of our development, because some people are able to get it back, but this is why you're being raised, because your intellect has to be, you have to be upgraded, you know, so that you can get the power, because great power comes with great responsibility. And most people, they want the benefits, they want the power, they want a quick fix, but they don't want to do the work. And this is one of the ways to see which students, I said at the beginning, this year's graduation time, who's putting in the work. Because you have to do the part of your putting in the work. No one's going to do it for you. And the funny thing is, we say to people all the time, we tell people, or not tell, but we say and share with people what you should do. But you got those that are smarter than us. They do everything other than what we tell them to do. They tell us, like, I have people call me and they say, yeah, you know, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to be ready to come and be a part of wu-sabat. Or, you know, I just need to, whatever it is, I'm going to get some money, or got to get my degree, I got to do this. And I'm like, we told you, like, you don't necessarily, I'm not saying don't develop yourself, but we're telling you all you need to do is come close, be a part of the community, be a part of the family, study, read, start applying wu-sabat. Read, some people, we say read, they don't read. We say go to classes, attend classes, they don't go to classes. They don't really. It's just like, if you're serious about anything, you're going to put in the work. And you as a goddess have to do the work. All right? Let's keep going. Yeah, join the official wu-sabat Telegram group. Call the number if you want to speak live and ask your question. The number is +44 if you're calling from outside the UK, 753 9963 882. I repeat, +44 if you're calling from outside the UK. Use WhatsApp, it's free. 753 996 3882. All right, let's keep going. How should we prevent the black on black war that is about to take place in South Africa? These things are by design, and how you prevent it is by using the mind and knowledge of what's going on, because these things are orchestrated. It's all about spreading the truth and knowledge so that people know that you are the same people. All these divisions, this is what we're trying to avoid. The divisions that are caused by tribalism, or, you know, religions or political parties, and all this segregation and separation that makes people think that they're different, or one person is better than another person. These are the types of things that wu-sabat eradicates if you apply the knowledge. Asaru is in the house. I was like, we were just literally talking about you, Asaru. People keep asking me, where's Asaru? Where's Asaru? We're like, yeah, he'll be here soon. Rahubat Zamal. Okay, Lewis again. Is the Neolithic meridian a reality, and does it affect us who live very close Yeah, when we're dealing with planetary bodies and, we have to deal with energy. It's really all about energy. So yes, it's like if you live in if you're a melanite child and you live in a place where you get very little sun, it's going to affect you. Even though the sun is still shining, if you were actually in a climate that is more conducive for you, then you're going to receive the sun's energy and it will help you. So yes, it does affect you. Right, so let's go to YouTube. Love the information, can't wait for the program. Okay, cool. That was from Harriet. Ayo Bakwekedikilaway, if I'm pronouncing your name properly. Why does it feel like I'm forgetting my question? I better lock in. Yeah, because we are now not utilizing our memories as well. So you should get a notepad or a little book, write all your questions that you have down so you don't forget them. And then you can always ask them when you have the opportunity. Bruska Noyes, Rahubat Saken, which scrolls would you recommend we read on meditation and how to meditate, as well as breathing techniques? With the breathing techniques, we have a book called The Breath. And I know some of the books we mentioned may not be available, but you have to do your due diligence and research and try and find the books. And this is what we say to people all the time. When books are available, yeah, this book here is called The Breath Book, all right? That deals with the question about the breathing. And in terms of the meditation, again, it's a great question because people now will go online and you have all these types of gurus and different people from different cultures and races that will tell you, do it this way or do it that way. The master teacher's got a book called Concentration of Patarak, right? This is a great scroll if you can get hold of it. And then, of course, we actually have a Patarak called Meditation as well. And we have this scroll, yeah, our scroll, the spiritual, fast track your spiritual and conscious journey. That goes into it because there are different forms of meditation, and it's like anything else, that there are basics to advanced levels of meditation. And sometimes people are impatient and don't want to put in the work and learn. And it's a very important thing because when you're meditating, you can go into levels of vibrations, and if you don't know what you're doing, you could be impacted negatively too. So it's good to learn the right way to do things and the different types of meditation. All right, hope those 2 scrolls or the 3 scrolls I mentioned help. Next question. Can you tell me about the soulmate Partarak? All right. That's again quite vague. It's saying, can you tell me about it? I actually have it here with me. What would you like me to tell you about it? Perhaps I can just read a little bit. We actually did a video on the soulmates, I think, already. If we haven't, we'll do it, but check it out. So, Likum, Marer Nwapu, beloved Nwapians, you wish to understand what Tabah nature says is your soulmate. 2, what is in fact a soulmate? 3, when Ka'atwi, 2 spirits become one Ba'a, soul. 4, and as such produced perfect Muk'ahu, Etherians or etheric beings. 5, this comes with wakat, time, and patience. 6, Taba, nature, does its part by the rules of attraction. 7. And both persons must do their part by living up to what is expected of them. 8. This becomes as perfect as those involved. 9. Nuapu, Nuapians, this is the way of Wu Nuapu. 10. The continuity of our existence for male as being female as material and time as akal, mind. 11. Since mind is time and is the continuation of both Nathar, Wu, Nathartat, God and goddesses. 12. It's about the continuing of being, material and mind. 13. And akal, mind, as time is, that is constant. I'm going to stop at 17. 14. And needs a place to express its being as it exists without movement or as nothingness. 15. Yet as continuity expresses through material or matter, which is existence in movement, somethingness. 16. So you have male being, female material, and time, mind, the perfect union. 17. Mind is male, is constant, and female is variant, ever changeable. So when we say mind is male, when you hear the word mental, mind is mental. Men is the first part of the word mental. You see, so, I mean, obviously it goes on into a lot more in terms of these two people who are soulmates are two separate spirits coming together to be as one. And this also relates to the first question I answered for the brother who was asking about his emotions and everything feeling low when he's on his own. And I was explaining to him that when you come together, right, this is what the purpose of soulmates or marriage or two people who are becoming one union. They then share everything. They become one. So if one person's having a particular issue, let's say they have a heart problem or their heart is not beating in the right, it's not regulated, the other person, they can share. That's what I was saying about healing each other and so on and so forth. So when you become one, and eventually we all become one as well in Pa'ut. So yeah, it's the perfect union to produce the perfect outcome in terms of offspring and in terms of becoming one being, all right? And obviously in the media and in other things, people start to distort and exaggerate things and, you know, make it into something that's not. But as far as wu-sabat is concerned, what we teach on soulmates, it's not going to be the same as what perhaps other people teach, all right? So get that part of that, soulmate, then you can read all about it yourself. That's for you, SMK Smokov 13. Rahubat Zamal Wu Muesar, that's from key file Binan 6445. Next question. Brusca noise. You got a question?
Voice note.
All right, let's go for it.
Zama, thank you for answering my first question. My second question is, how would you recommend I get closer to the community? I live in Botswana and there aren't any bookstores over here or anywhere near.
Okay.
And I rarely get any internet. So that will be my second question. And my third question is, will you be doing another collaboration video with Dr. Joshua? Maybe you going over to his channel and talking about some other things?
Okay. Yeah, there are people in South Africa and in other parts of Africa, wu-sabat is spreading, and we encourage people to get together and study together in study groups. We also say if there isn't a bookstore near you, to attach yourself to any that is closest to you, even if it's online, because we are worldwide. And so that's a way to stay in tune, in touch. We utilize social media, obviously, Facebook, we have our own Telegram group that you can join, and so that you can be constantly aware of what's going on. And then when there are events, if you can make them, attend. But we are also working on having more satellites, more stores, more outlets, and the work is not just going to be left to us. This is what we're saying, that there are people who are being touched and sparked wherever they are in the world. And if they have that burning, right, to share the knowledge and spread wu-sabat, we can work with you and help you, and you can start being that initial, contact there, and then you guys put in the work. There's no way around us doing the work that is required, and we will support each other and work together, and then there you go. You now have somewhere in your local vicinity that other people can go to. So don't think and just wait for us to do everything. You may be that person that is required to fly the flag over there. So yeah, think about that seriously, consider that. All right. Right, this was from Brusca Noise, Sacred Wisdom of Tahuti. In the chaos of Nun, he awoke from eons of slumber, and opening his mouth, issued the first sound, Kun. This original sound assumed form and became the first 8 being. All right. Okay, I was going to say, where's the question? Then you've asked in the second part. You said, can you elaborate, please, again? Yeah, that ties into what I was saying with the question about coming from the primordial waters, right? The chaos that you're talking about, it's dealing with like when we come into being, we come from water. So the gushing, all right, because this story is also reiterated in the Egyptian stories, yeah, in terms of Atum, right? And when you're talking about gushing, like the male, as we read from the Black Book earlier on, when he ejaculates, that is sperm or sea, right? Waters, right? Semen. We say semen. That semen, right, is literally over 700 million sperms that are gushing out like little tadpoles, and then they go into the ovum, or they're racing and rushing and gushing to be the race of your life, like where you be the first one to get to the ovum of the woman, and then you're grown in that darkness in water that we spoke about, supreme balance or supreme triple darkness. Right? We say triple darkness because when you are in the womb, you're in darkness, right? That's one. When you come out from your mother onto land, you're still in darkness, in the sense of the darkness that surrounds the planet, what we call shadow hours. But then when you come outside of the planet, you're then again surrounded by darkness, where you have all the stars and the different clusters and constellations, right? So when we're saying about, so the utterance or the words that are uttered, this goes into vibration and frequency. Because when we talk about singularity, or we talk about the birth of the universe, it starts off, they say, with a bang, right? And then when you bring that into the basic instructions before leaving earth, referred to as the Bible, it tells you in the beginning was the Word, right? When you're looking at, say, the New Testament. even in the Islamic religion, in the Quran, they say the words were uttered, ikra, right? Which was to read, or even Bismillah, Bismillah, right? And then you go to the New Testament, again, it talks about God said, tones. He had to speak. God said, let there be light. So what we're saying in this, what it's explaining, coming from Nun, Nun being that where you get the 8 Ogdoads, right? So you have Nun and Nunet. These are two beings, right? Then come out to, you know, what we call Kek and Kikek, Het and Hihet, Amun, Amunet, right? So these beings, they came as frogs and snakes from the waters. And then he said, basically, so it's really talking about that, the utterance where we say, when you're dealing with creation in ancient Egypt, that's referred to as the Huhi. I mentioned about Huhi they work in tribes with Hika and Seya or Sia. And the utterance or the personification of creation or creative will, that's what Who represents. So a lot of times in English, people say, who created us? Not realizing by saying that who as in H-U, they're literally saying what happened, who created us. By that, as you said, utterance or the sound that becomes flesh, okay? And so that's what it's talking about. And the 8, as you said, the 8 beings are those 8 Ogdoad, all right? And sound transforms into being light as well, and vice versa. So you're dealing with coming from a state that people considered nothingness, from the etheric world into the world of what we call the physical, from, you know, hydrogen or H1, H2 coming this way, from the etheric realm coming from the 9 levels of ether, E1, E2, E3, going that way. All right, so yeah, and it also ties into the rebirth, because life in itself is a cycle, and the rebirth, as in now we're in the new cycle of 24,000 years, and one had to lead the way as Ptah to begin this new cycle. And that's why Paranababianun is here, and that it relates to the name, as I said before, Amanubi Rayak Ptah, okay? And yeah, that original sound, as in even the bang, right? So you hear people try to connect to that original sound when they chant Om, when they're chanting Om, because that's that sound that they're talking about from that bang. And any sound never really stops. It just keeps going, but it's resonating and decaying. And so being tried to connect back to that original sound when they're meditating, chanting, and so forth. But we know when we're dealing with the three tones in one is what opens certain gateways to allow us to connect to the higher abodes. And Paranababianun is that being that has 3 tones in one, you know, as Malachi, Ningishzida, and Paranababianun. You see, so yeah, that's what's dealing with when you're dealing with, we are so powerful with our tones. That's why our language and our tones of FAC, again, the 3 tones. But even within that FAC as 3 tones, you have to realize that each of those notes have 3 tones. So if we say F, for example, you have the major, which will be the F major, but you'll also have the flat, F flat, and then you'll have which is a semitone lower from the major. Yeah, and then you have a higher sharp, which is a F sharp. So you'd have F flat, F major, and F sharp. It's the same with the A. So you have A flat, A sharp. You have the C, we say C flat, which will be a B, right? But it'll be C flat, C, and C sharp. So you see how the 3 times 3 now, because each one of the 3 is 3. It gives you the 9. But then as you go through each one of the notes, you have 8 tones, right? If you add the octave, relating to the same 8 beings that we're calling the octaodes, right? So you got the 8 notes, which each one, as I already explained, has the 3 tones in one. Those 8, people say, right, so that would be like the 8 notes: do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. Again, the do being the octave, right? But then there's a 9th one when you play all of them together. But that goes back to the different, as I said, variations of that personification or that sound, slowing down in vibration to become, physical from nothingness. Okay, I hope that helped you, Brusca Noise. Great question. Eliza Batsta Macedo. Oh, you've written it in is that Brazilian Spanish? I can't read that. Menos. See if you can translate it. Menos. On YouTube, Eliza. But if someone can translate it into English for me, that would be great. And then I'll answer it if I can. Okay. Let's keep going. Have you found it? No. So on YouTube, it's the one after Brusca Noise's question. All right, let's go to Ayo Bakwekediki. Sorry, your name is long and I can't pronounce that. Rahubat, should we try to contact the United Nations and ask them to take legal action against the US for arresting Malachi? No, what we would say, as we say all the time, get close to the family so you can know what to do to assist, because we already have, or the master already has his legal representative, legal team that know what they're doing. We don't want to be doing things and tripping over each other. And anything to do with legal, you should be instructed or work with those that have the expertise. They're already considering all aspects relating to the legal, international, as well as national, as well as, local, as well as dealing with, all jurisdictions. So plug in and learn and assist where you can without trying to reinvent the wheel, all right? We could comment on their YouTube channel. Yeah, things like that are great things to do in terms of bringing awareness, like using social media to let people know about the injustice, sharing the good, works. Yeah, you can definitely do that. But again, there's a way to do it that is more effective than just doing it in your own way, because we have experts that are working on the legal, right? Okay, Reyes Sananda says, Zamal, Trump thinks he is Tommy from 50 Cent's Power TV show. Has our master teacher said anything about when he gets deleted? We don't, we try, we don't get into the politics, but obviously, you know about the Leviathan books and other books such as the Luciferian Conspiracy and many, many others that have been teaching us and preparing us for a very long time for the events and things that are happening now. This is why it's important to not just read and just talk, but it's about, putting in the work, coming together and working together as, a one body so that we can have the most impact. Gavin Beaton, he says, yes, freedom for the master teacher, it's a must. We will rise so happy to have this knowledge. 100%, 100%.
I've got a question.
Okay, go ahead.
This is from Instagram. What's your thoughts on this year's numerology alignment?
Again, you know, we obviously, we're dealing with a situation where we have a being that has been breaking down numerology. Like, when you deal with numerology, the highest numerology is dealing with 9 ether, right? So, or obviously the adverse of 6 ether. But it's really, it literally comes down to the 9 getting back to its rightful place. Because when you look at rotation and look at cycles and you look at the 6, you can see that it spirals that way, whereas the 9 goes the other way. So it's really about reversing the 6 ether force and bringing it back to 9. That's why we say when you're dealing with numbers, you only get to the point where no matter what the number is you want to use, and whether it's aligning and you know the people call angel numbers and things you're seeing, ultimately it's synchronizing to the point where it's going to be 999999999. If you want to deal with supreme mathematics and deal with 9 and 9 ether on 9 chakras for the Nagaru, and 9 being the highest number, etc., etc. So yeah, sometimes alignments are there to indicate and give you certain clues to things. But yeah, I mean, if you look at the alignment last year was, when you add up 2025, that was 9, right? Let's go there then, since you want to do a bit of numerology. Because 2 plus 0 plus 2 is 4 plus 5 is 9. So now we're going into a new cycle, right? Because after 9, you start again, you see? And so when you say 2026, you can see that it's a 0 and a 1, right? Because you're dealing with 2 plus 2 is 4, plus 6 is 10. 1 and 0 are the, like you said, I was saying the binaries, or in computer code, everything is zeros and ones. But a 10 is also a beginning of a new cycle. So certain things are going to take place as we count down, and there are cycles within cycles within cycles. So as we're counting down to 20, like we said in the video, you have that video we made to say, remind me again the title.
Be prepared for this year.
Be prepared for this year. Because after the 9, you're counting down to 2030, and certain things are going to be taking place. So we have to be ready and prepared, and you're already seeing what's going on. So yeah, I hope that helps in terms of the numerology. Was there any more to it, or was that's it? All right, let's get back to the questions. I had a dream and a student teacher was teaching in it. Have I been watching too much OSM, or do you guys plan out visitations? We are all multidimensional beings and can meet each other and, on different dimensions and do all kinds of stuff. So, yeah, but maybe you are watching. There's no such thing as watching too much OSM. You can never watch enough of OSM Vision and the information we're putting out. Freedom for the Master Teacher again. Rahul Bat from Botswana. Rahul Bat. T Twam Bottery 2546. Rahul Bat Musa. The time is now for the Master Teacher to come home. Terry Jamal Tahuti. Yeah, the time is now. And we don't just want to be just saying cliche words. We want to put energy and action behind what we're saying. focus our mind with not the just positive thinking, but the manifestation of that by mind linked. Our minds linked together, focusing on something like visualization. All of that is going to help bring about the reality that we are wanting to see. So yes, definitely Terry Jamal Tahuti Akinreye from Zambia. Coco Brown's in the house, Rahubat. Grace, do draconians, okay, we got a live caller. Rahubat, to do that in slow-mo.
Still connected.
Still connected, all right.
It's on.
Okay, Rahubat caller, greetings, how are you, where you calling from? What's your question, please?
Rahul back from the United States.
The United States.
I had a question.
Go ahead.
I had a question to the teachings that y'all were doing, and I had a question about the reincarnation process, and how before you said that if we go into the light, we'll reincarnate and come back here. But if we don't, if we go with our ancestors, we'll elevate to a higher plane because they'll be able to help us. So the question that I had about it was, these other beings that are on the planet that's not non-ether, that's below, they don't reincarnate or have the ability to reincarnate like how we are, correct? Because they're not non-ether and they're not able to rise to a higher plane. Is that correct?
Yeah, a lot of beings are stuck here or on the low, they go down or they're stuck here as disembodied beings. So yes, some beings don't, when they do, it depend, when you're saying reincarnate, they get recycled as Krugenes or like fairies that get back and go it back into a pregnated woman to be reborn as, you know, six ether beings again. So yeah, there are those who are stuck here and there are those who are recycled, but they don't go to the higher realms beyond six ether.
The reason why I was asking that behind the question is like in America, we've been going through, you know, just like the rest of the world, racism, prejudice as being like a Negro, original person, African American. And I was saying that, is it to the fact that a lot of these Caucasians or six ether beings, some of them know that. That's why they retaliate and do these type of things to us on purpose, like police brutality and trying to hurt and kill us because they're not able to elevate or reincarnate the way we are.
Yeah, I mean, for some people, this is it. It's like you can't. You have to deal with things on an individual basis because you can't just look at someone and say they don't have a soul or have a soul, or do you know what I mean? Like we can generalize in terms of the knowledge we have, but you're right that some know that this is the end because the ones that are in higher places, they study these things and they know about these things. There are people who attend meetings like the Galactic Federation meetings where judgments are passed and they've asked for extensions. Like in 1996, they asked for an extension, and you know that extension ran out in 1999, where there was no more extensions. And what happens is that when you look at structures, you have a hierarchy of beings, and you have for example, you have the overlords or the extraterrestrials that know about these cycles because they will attend these meetings, and then it gets filtered down to the puppets or the leaders that actually run the different governments and so forth and so forth. So, and then it goes all the way down to the citizens and people that don't really have a clue or know what's going on or who's running the world and all the things that are going on. But because we're in a day and time of the new cycle and the era of truth, a lot of things are being revealed now. People are starting to see through things that would have been hard to see, you know, back when six ether was still, you know, in power or in effect. So yeah, those who know that their time is up, they know that from the year 2000, they're basically been wiped off or taken off the planet, the Adamites, and this is going to go on until 2030. So you have the mentality of some who are just like, you know, their nature is destruction. So it's about they if they're going down, they're going to take with them whoever they can take down. And this is why it's all about polarity and you avoiding and not being caught up in a situation where you're being pulled with the six lethal forces and the chaos and everything that they're doing. Because if you look at the wars and everything that's going on, it's by design for them. They're eliminating themselves, and you know you just got to step out of the way. That's why if you study prophecy and scriptures and things, it tells you like Revelation 18, come out of her, my people, so that you will not partake of their plagues. And it's talking about Babylon the Great is falling, has fallen, and how the 18:2 talking about the habitation has become, you know, foul spirits, and it's talking about these beings that are trapped here. So a lot of the time people get caught up because they put themselves in a situation they shouldn't be in. Sometimes it's not by choice, but this is why right knowledge is here, so people can know what to do. But you're right that there are beings who know, like for example, the fertility rate has reached a point of no return. And when that happens, for those who study these things, it means that it's extinction time. You know, there are many things that are giving you signs of this is it. It's a wrap for some of them, for the Adamites. And then you have those who get caught up, just like if you look at even in the pandemic, which many call pandemic, if you weren't involved by being in the front line or being where it was rampant in terms of infections, then you wouldn't really get caught up. But if you're somebody that, you know, is working on the front line and you're now exposing yourself, then you're putting yourself at risk. So yeah, this is why a lot of things it's about you stepping out of the way, but at the same time working with those and preparing with those who know what to do to survive this, because like we say, it's going to get worse before it gets better.
So pretty much when 2030 hits, and after 2030, we'll be able to function and live a better quality of life because we'll be operating during the sun cycle and in our right mind for those that have elevated to that level.
Well, it all depends where you are as well, because, and this is what we're saying, like we can change the fate by what we do. If we sit back and don't do anything and don't, I mean, yes, natural nature is doing its thing, but you know, we have to also organize, mobilize, and do certain things to change that negative energy. It's like saying love, you know, conquers hate, and we have to deal with that love, which we call a shook or divine love, you know, and that's a vibration as well. So the best example I can give you as an analogy is, you know, about the whole thing about being alkaline versus being acidic, right? Like, like disease can't thrive in certain conditions. And, you know, so if you're not in that condition, if you're not vibrating or you're like kind of like feeding those forces, then
they can't harm you.
Yeah, it can't harm you. But the fear and the lies and the chaos and the things that make people vibrate lower are what's being pushed, you know, and a lot of people don't know what to do because they can't get answers for the problems. Like, this is the time where, you know, these people that are religious, this is a time where you should be asking the question, where is the deities, that the gods and the Allahs and the beings that are supposed to come for you and rescue and save you? Yeah. It's like, how can a bare mortal have, you know, so much power to do so much, and yet the gods are not able to step in and deal with it. You see what I'm saying? That's as an analogy, but so much is going
Right.
on
I
the
think it's
planet.
what
Yeah,
people we make excuses for ourselves, or we try to bend certain scriptures, words, or things to fit our situation,
that's right.
so people won't come and help us, save us.
Yep, but we can save ourselves.
Correct.
Yeah, this is what I'm saying. So you're right. We got to stop making excuses and put in the work and do what we need to do and build and, have. I mean, this is not the first time where empires have collapsed or like catastrophes
Good
have
question.
happened.
Good thing that you said that. I have a question too. The Moors, was there a fight in the Americas between like the Moors, the African Moors, and then the native Africans that was on the land,
Yes.
that made it easier for like Christopher Columbus and a lot of these European and Caucasian intruders to come over here and take the land easier?
Yeah, this is when you start to really go into and studying the Moors, the whole thing to do with like slavery as well in terms of the field ones and the house ones. It was the same where you had different types of Moors, and you had the original ones, the ones that maintained, and then you had like you when you hear the word Moor, it's spelt in two different ways as well, like Muur as opposed to the Moor, and then you have the Morenos, and it's quite complex. But yes, you're right. It's the same old game of playing two people against each other, and one being the sellout and one being the one that maintains and tries to be authentic. And this goes on throughout every industry and through the wars of the gods and the conflicts between the two brothers of Enlil and Enki, all the way till today, where you have like two different political parties that are always, and the sports and people just fight it all the time, which this is what they create. So they make you think you're divided, and then you fight against each other, and the person that orchestrates it stands back and just watches, but you're right. Yeah, this time it's about knowledge and knowing where to be.
And then last question.
Yeah.
There's a Instagram page called Return of Non-Ether.
So
They'll take like some of your sound clips,
Yeah.
and then add it to their videos, as if like y'all are the ones doing it. But on the channel, they're showing this guy called Prince Yahweh, and then they're portraying him in the AI videos like, I guess he's Enki,
right.
and he's coming down. He came to the planet to help save us or something like that, and that we're going to go into the craft with him and the other Anakis to be saved. So I'm just trying to get clarification on that, because it seems like, weren't we planted down here by the Riskians and the Anakis that came down?
Yeah.
They used us to mine gold. They didn't really have good intentions for us.
Yeah. Obviously, people would plan or try to do something, but there's always a bigger or higher plan, meaning that it's positive that we're getting out there and people are like, as long as they tag us and they don't distort what we teach, but in a way it still helps people to find us and lead to us, and then they will be able to discern for themselves. Because a lot of the times, I haven't actually, I know the channel, I'm looking at it right now, but I've only just found out about it recently, so I'm gonna have to go and check some of the stuff out. But what the master used to say as well is like, no matter what, let's get the information out there, and then people will find their way and know what really makes sense and so forth. But yeah, not all publicity is negative. So, but I'm gonna check it out, and but once you find us, you will then plug into us and know who the real master teacher is that's here, and then you kind of like use your own discernment. But there's a lot of information out there that people are mixing a lot of the older teachings or the things that he was teaching, like on the Anunnaki and Nibiru and Enki and Enlil and so forth, but they're not getting updated or coming up to today in terms of, you know what I mean? So a lot of people they're stuck on the holy tablets and stuck on the information on Nibiru and the Anunnaki. That's why we keep saying to people that they must stay in tune and stay up to date, or you will get, you will get confused.
Okay, appreciate it. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, let's keep going. The time is now. We covered that. Do draconians still feed on Pleiadians during our day? Yes. This is what happens, right? People make all kinds of agreements and deals, and then they default on the agreements. So even though there was an agreement for extraterrestrials to take, humans or 300,000, they have decided to go against that, and you have many beings. We got a caller? All right, let's pause for the calls.
It says missed call. Let me call him back.
Okay. So that's for you, Grace. Do draconians still feed on Pleiadians during our day? Yes. And it's chaos. Rahubat caller, what's your name, where you calling from, and what's your question, please?
Good evening. My name is Chukwebuko Kyung. I'm calling you from Enugu State, Nigeria.
Sorry, your line is a little bit muffled. You're calling from?
Enugu State, Nigeria.
Okay, yeah, welcome. Greetings. What's your question?
Please, I just want to know more about myself. I'm into spiritual things, but not that much advanced. And I know you are somebody who is more advanced in reality and Africa.
Spirituality.
Oh, your line was was a bit choppy, but this wu-sabat is that science that you need to learn and study, and that by doing that you will learn about yourself. We have many books and scrolls that will answer your questions, but it's a spiritual journey as well. What I would suggest is join our Telegram group, the official Telegram group, if you haven't done so already. And then we can advise and give you more information, of the scrolls pertaining to yourself that you should start with.
Yeah.
All right. But yeah.
So how can I join the Telegram group?
Yeah, it's going to be sent in the chat or sent to you. All right.
Okay.
Yeah, because that is alive and continuous every day, 7 days a week. And you can continue asking questions and know what's happening with the classes and everything that we're doing. And watch all the videos on OSM Vision. That will give you a good orientation and foundation for what we teach. All right. But yeah, we want to get more communities out there worldwide, and we're looking for people that speak other languages to help us with translations and like helping ask questions so we can get the knowledge out into the different languages around the world as well. So that's something we can discuss with you as well if you're interested.
I'm very much interested. I speak Igbo and English.
Good. Yeah, that's fantastic. Yeah, we'll definitely link up with you.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, I would like to join the Telegram group.
That's a great start. All right. Tawat.
Yeah, down here I practice Igbo tradition.
Okay. Well, all right.
But I need more advance of spirituality.
Yep, that's why we're here. All right.
Okay.
Take care.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Last storyteller, Horus Ra, 7565. Rahubat Saken and OSM Moisar, religion never, wu-sabat now and forever. I like that. Free the one and only master teacher, Dr. Malachi Z.K. York. Yeah, I'm with that, 1000%. All right, Kes, thank you so much for your donation, appreciate love. No question that. Teach us about cats. That's a bit of a broad question. So, there are different types of cats, right, in the feline order, and obviously different species as well. So, you know, you have lions and tigers and cheetahs and panthers, all the way to your domesticated cats. And in ancient Tamaray, you know, you had the female Bastat, Hathor. These were all beings that were part of the feline order. And if you'd like to know more about the feline order, which is a sisterhood, you know, again, contact us, join the Telegram group, and we'll give you the information. But it's very broad. Now, when you look at the cat, it's a very intelligent, sophisticated being. But obviously, I spoke about keeping animals and so forth last week. Excuse me, and I was saying that the comments were funny because some people took it personal as in terms of keeping pets, dogs and cats and so forth. But there are different types of cats, and the nature of the cat, even when we look at how the pig was created, which was from a cat, a rat, and a dog, it was because of their various natures that were required to produce the pig. It's like even when you're looking at when the gravitation of beings on the planet, you know, like from genus Homo to homogeneous to Homo erectus, Homo sapiens, they had to mix and take, you know, different aspects or natures, and even with the Adamites who are mixed with the Homo porcine, the simians, and the canine. So it's all about the natures, and sometimes not everything is literal. Some things are symbolic, as in relating to the nature of an animal, or like the cunningness of, you know, a being and so forth. So just to say, teach us about cats is very broad. So we'll have to be more specific in our question, but I gave you a little bit anyway. But the feline order deals with the female because she's a feminine, yeah? The number 9, because the female is the female's time to rule and the female's time to become back to who she was in her glory, you know? And we're not saying that to say that men don't have a purpose or a use, but as you know, we're living in a day of truth, and one of the biggest secrets is the suppression of the woman and her powers, and the fact that she's the goddess that birthed men, and she has a complete matrix. And so there are many things you need to learn and know about the female, but more specifically the sacred female or the sacred feminine. And you can read a bit more about this in the Lotus. There's a scroll by the Master Teacher called the Lotus of the Sacred Feminine. Yeah, and do I have it with me? Give you the proper title, full title. Have you got it there? Let's see. I don't seem to have it close, but yeah, we'll find it for you and we'll put it in the chat. But yeah, those scrolls go into the female and how she relates to the cat or the feline order, okay? And even when they tell you all that, like this is another lie, yeah, where they tell you about, is it the lion? Yeah, the lion is the king of the jungle. Yeah, that's the one. What's the title? That's it. The Gospel of Yanun on the Sacred Feminine. And there's another bit at the bottom. What does it say?
Series number 23.
Okay. Yeah, the Gospel of Yanun on the Sacred Feminine, right? Get that, and it will go more into the feminine and the relationship with the feline order and the cat. All right. Right. Rahubat Sakin. Okay. What does wu-sabat say about semen retention and its benefits? That question we've answered so many times. Yeah, I mean, obviously, we don't teach and do things to the extreme. And the retention is good in the sense of abstaining and like, because when you fast, right, fast is abstaining from things. And part of that is, you know, abstaining from sex and that energy, you can channel that energy to other use like the mind, and it's good for health benefits. But as I say, we don't do anything to the extreme. So it's like anything you abstain from that you do constantly, is you're gonna actually benefit from that. It's like if you fast, like I mentioned already, or if you eat all the time, there will come a time where you should not eat. And yeah, that's one of those benefits. And if you're focused on achieving something and you want to, you know, just abstain, that's why, remember, that's a lot of energy that comes out of you. So when boxers and certain people are preparing to be in the zone, that's one of the things they do. They don't deplete their energy, and they abstain and they focus and they practice and then utilize that energy because they need that energy. Is Earth a sphere or a flat firmament? Earth is it's like an oblong, not oblong. It's like an egg shape because it's had many meteorite showers and crashes, and it's been, you know what I mean, destroyed in certain parts and been terraformed and put together. So in terms of it's not flat, and it's not, it has many atmospheres which people refer to as the firmament. Many atmospheres within itself. Obviously, when you look at the spheres and look at, like, you know, the rainbow and the different spheres, but yeah, it's not flat. As far as we have been taught, trying to catch up where I was, 1 second. Okay, here we go. I knew Ken would call first, I felt it. Rahabat Moisa, much ashuk and peace and unity. Let's see what Facebook said. Anything? Okay, yeah, a couple questions here. I'm happy to be here. I'm new here. How do I get acquainted? Okay, again, we post the links in the chat. Does astrology and methodology equate to self-mastery along the lines of numerology? No, not really. These are just different studies or sciences. Methodology just refers to the method that you use to do something. Astrology is really coming from astronomy, so, you know, studying of the stars and so forth. Self-mastery comes with discipline and applying the things that you're taught in wu-sabat that will help you elevate, all right? Links, it's a knower of secret lion, the leadership. Okay, I think that was relating to the cats. But yeah, the natures of the cats obviously deal with, like I said, they tell you that the lion's the king of the jungle because it has fur. Really, it's the Black Panther. Right, we've just have a donation from Cameron Love 155. Thank you so much for that. Are mountains actually ancient trees? Also, have you seen the images from orbit showing what appears to be huge holes at the north and south poles? If so, what's your opinion? Yeah, this is what we've been teaching for many years and telling people that the planet is hollow and there are entrances from the North Pole to the South Pole, and extraterrestrials and many beings come in through those holes. And in terms of the trees, some trees are connected underneath the ground in terms of the branches and the roots. They extend for miles, and it's almost like if you can think about it, they're holding hands under the ground. So that's why sometimes even in your neighborhood, you might see a tree's chopped up, but then you can see the roots come out of the pavement, and it keeps coming back alive no matter what they do. So, but they're not mountains as such. Obviously, there are mountains and there are trees in mountains and vice versa. So, mountains are not all actually ancient trees. What's the other part? Yeah, again, you say what's my opinion, but we focus on dealing with facts, actual facts, evidence, and things that have been proven. So it's all about researching, studying, and making sense of things based on evidence. It's only religion that teaches you not to ask questions and to reason and to research and check things out. When it comes to everything else, people will apply common sense and apply, like checking things out. But when it comes to religion, it's like when you start to ask people questions to deal with facts, it goes into a thing where, like, for example, you might say to someone, they might mention a character, and like, Jesus, Muhammad, whoever, and you ask them a basic question like, do they exist? They will say yes, and you say, okay, what do they look like? And have you actually like met them and spoken to them? People say yes. And then when you say, where are they? Let's talk to them now. They will say, oh, then it changes to their spirit. And then it's like, okay, so when something is physical, it's no longer there, it becomes a spirit. It can't be both at the same time, in the sense of, like, if you went to court, it's based on evidence. You can't go to court and say, someone attacked me or did something to me, and as an example, and let's say the judge asks you, where are they? You go, they're right here, they're standing there in front of me, but they're spirit. That case is going to get thrown out, because that's just like, okay, so you want us to arrest and handcuff a spirit and take it to jail? And it doesn't reason out. This is what I'm saying. Like, when it comes to anything to do with anything that is important, you want the details, you want the facts. But when it comes to things of, as important as your soul and dealing with your spirit, all of a sudden common sense goes out the window. Excuse me. I literally talk all day because I'm always answering questions. And Miss Iris Moss helps. Very refreshing, very tasty, full of minerals that keeps us going. All right. Yeah, you can get some here in the chat if you are interested. Fortunately, we can't send it by post to you across the world. All right, next question. What is the meaning of... Okay, hold on. I missed one. Gosh, there's so many. Got a caller. Go on then. Let's take the live
Yes.
call.
Oh, you get me?
Rahubat, greetings. How are you? What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Oh, back Q, USA.
Greetings. How are you doing?
Everything good. I had a question.
Yeah.
I heard you was talking about the fall of the system in 2030.
It's falling right
The
now.
question that I had was about the system that's falling right now. Is that the same system that's being controlled by reptilians behind the scenes, like the politicians, the presidents, and stuff like that? Because
Yeah.
I know they do a ritual in California at the Bastinian Grove
Yeah, the Bohemian
where they
Grove.
praise like this.
Yeah.
Yeah, where they praise like this owl deity,
Yeah,
and then
that-
they do like a sacrifice of a baby.
Tour, that's Moloch.
And
yeah.
then, okay. And then also in the music industry, they're praising like the Baphomet, this
That's right.
goat head being with both body parts, and then the bowhead Baal.
That's right.
So all those systems are the same thing, but just in different industries
Yeah, I
that's
mean,
falling.
yeah, because what what we're really talking about is known as the Luciferian conspiracy, where you have these beings that a lot of people start to talk about the Illuminati, and there is a hierarchy of the most influential people, the richest people, etc., etc., and like they meet and they plan things years ahead in terms of, like, when we're talking about this new world order, this is something that was being done a long time ago. And recently, even in the White House grounds, a statue was what's the word I'm gonna re-established or enacted or put back up, and that statue is of a person called Albert Pike. So when you go back and start to look at the Luciferian conspiracy and study these people that came together and conspired to do these things, it ties down all the way to, as you said, them running the industries and, running like the sporting industries, and then you have different extraterrestrial beings that are also involved, all the way to their overlords, which, like you just said, a lot of them have now left, but the system is very intricate by design, and unless you go down what people would refer to as the rabbit hole and start to expose and really see what's going on, because we're now living in the day of truth and people want to know the truth. They're starting to see how, like, things are orchestrated, where you're having fake deaths, you're having all kinds of like clones and people being replaced, and it's just been like so exposed in the last few years when you look at certain incidents. But before, they used to get away with these things, and like the masses were being duped and controlled. But now we're living in a day of consciousness and the awoke period, in terms of people are starting to ask questions and don't just take things for face value. So yeah, the whole system is quite intricate. Many people.
And then are those extraterrestrials different, like, species of extraterrestrials working together? Like, is Enlil working with the reptiles, like those draconians?
So yeah, there are different species of extraterrestrials, and some of them will work together for their mutual benefit. So in the case of, like you said, that whole Bohemian Grove, the owl, that deals with basically Moloch. And when you start to look at the books of, like the Bible and so forth, they talk about these beings, as you said, like Enlil and Enki, and Enlil, right, ties to Nana, right? Nana is the being that a lot of people will refer to or call the devil and so forth, but he has people working with him and for him. And just like, you know, any other power structure, you know, like if you even look at a company, you will have, let's say, the CEO, the person that really calls the shots. Then you will have, obviously, you know, people underneath him that manage and deal with certain things. Then you go all the way down where you have like your general employees and janitors and all kinds of stuff. So it's the same when you look at how things are set up, and as you go up the top to the ladder, you start to look at, you know, these overlords that have, a lot of them now have abandoned and have jumped ship because they realize that the time has come for, you know, for them to be exposed and six ether forces to be removed. But the thing is, there are still many people that are asleep or under the spell of amnesia, or they don't research or take things further than just replaying what they have been, you know, told over the years for hundreds of years, until someone comes and says, look, this is what's really going on. And your eyes have to be open in terms of your pineal gland, your third eye, as many people call it, which is your first eye, because it was there before the physical eye. So it's all about being able to discern. And when you talk these things, some people will literally say, you know, you're crazy. But, you know, it's like, if you just see the amount of evidence and information that is available, even in public domain now. So yeah, it's a hierarchy. And as you see in a lot of the entertainers and the music industry and the film industry and so on and so forth, it's being exposed for what they do behind the scenes. And now a lot of people are aware of what's going on.
Okay. Last question I have. Originally, were we placed here pretty much to like reproduce, grow, live, and take care of the planet before other extraterrestrials came here with their own agenda and started creating laws and breaking laws and rules and stuff? Were we just originally here to like grow, reproduce, and strive and thrive?
Yeah, I mean, there was no chaos originally with the original beings that grew with the planet, which is the Nagaru, or the nine ether beings. They grew with the planet, as, you know, when you look at like the heat, what's the word I'm looking for? Heat. But basically we grew with the sun. Heat, what's the word? Heat, we had, anyway, I can't remember the term, but yeah, we are people of the sun. And so originally the planet was just, yeah, beautiful. It wasn't chaos. It was like the green zone where there was peace and harmony, until other beings came and they had to be quarantined, and they, you know, they were in what we call the red zone, or Zupu. And eventually, yeah, it just chaos and then the mixing and so forth, and then different beings started to come here once they knew about the planet. Because when you start to look at what's happening galactically, there are different star systems, and the way things work in terms of nature, a sun can die or collapse, and the beings that were being sustained by that sun, they have to evacuate or find another home. Or it's like the sun we look up to, which is the closest star to us. We rely on that sun. But if that sun was to explode, right, or die, because it's really a ball of gas, hydrogen and helium, that's constantly converting and burning, but that fuel can run out. If that happened, this is even why now people are starting to explore, like, can we live on Mars and can we live on other places? And even though in the past it was habitable, and so that's why they want to reignite it and kickstart life there. And they've been doing all kinds of like exploration, sending rockets and trying to find if there's water. And then obviously they know, because when you deal with the Anunnaki stories, Alalu, right, who is an Anunnaki, and he was kicked off. He was basically fleeing, and he came and he stopped on Mars and did certain experiments. And the Anunnaki did a lot of experiments on Mars before coming to the planet and trying to take the gold back and stuff. So there are, there's enough evidence that proves and shows that there was life on Mars, and the master teacher wrote about that in the Holy Tablets years ago. So yeah, to answer the question, it's sometimes people are fleeing, like even now on this planet, when there are wars and certain things going on, people are fleeing their countries to take refuge in other countries. Sometimes they're not welcome, like, they're sending the boats back, and in America now it's a big thing about immigrants and all this kind of stuff. So that happens on an intergalactical level as well, where many star systems, get attacked by, conflicts of the gods or catastrophes in terms of just natural nature. And then some of these beings, they came here. And then when they were here, they started to do and practice all kinds of things. And yeah, the chaos on the planet just kind of like escalated to the point where even in the Bible, in Genesis 6, they're telling you about the giants, the Nephilims that came down here. They fell down. It says Naphala, they came down, and then they started to mix with the beings that were already here, and then produce offspring that grieved, that deity, the Lord, as they say, that he was like, he's going to destroy them, because all they were doing is creating bloodshed. And it's pretty much the same thing going on today with those people.
So that Lord that was going to destroy him, was that Enlil?
Yes. Yes,
okay.
and in certain situations, it was another being. It would have been Enki. So there were times where it's either or. But yeah, or sometimes it's like now the Natharu are like they're gonna remove the 6 ether forces from the planet.
Okay, so our people are gonna remove them from the planet now.
Well, we say our people. We have the overseers, yes, who are the highest beings, and they've already decided that in order to fix things, that's what needs to happen. But the our people thing it's like
a bold statement, because there's so many different kinds.
And people have the opportunity to develop into high conscious beings. So, it's not a race thing, but obviously racism has played a major part in the chaos on the planet. But when you're dealing with truth, truth is truth, regardless of color, regardless of how much money someone has. It's just natural nature. This is how things work on a higher level. So everyone has the opportunity to improve themselves, to live in peace and harmony or in a better way. Some choose not to because their allegiance is with the 6 ether forces or the destructive nature or those beings that they remember what I said about the acidic and alkaline. Yeah, some beings they love the chaos. They feed off of that because
it's in their DNA, and then it's in their conscious, in their mind, the subconscious.
Right. Yeah, some people would love to do all the stuff that you be like, nah, I don't want to be involved with that because I'm trying to better myself and elevate. So yeah, you got agreeable and disagreeable constantly, fighting.
Okay, that answers the question.
Right.
That was kind of like, on my mind heavy.
Yeah. And wu-sabat is here representing, the way it's put in the scriptures is like the angel Michael and his angels fought against the dragon and his angels. And that war has been going on mentally, spiritually, physically for many, many years. It's just that we've now come to the end of the cycle of the last 6,000 years, moon cycle, which is now why they are in disarray. And like the sun cycle is here, but a lot of people are not aware. And this is why they have to be aware so that they can prepare and realize that you're more than just a physical being that's here just to work and that's it for your life. You know, you gotta prepare to make the transition to the higher realms.
Right. There's more to life than just working and paying bills.
Yeah. All right, I got to go. I got more questions. We're running out of time, so time out for your question until the next
All
time.
right. Thank you.
All right. Do you have any gatherings in Guyana, South America? Wow, there's so many questions. Is white race Pleiadians? Who did Yaqub create? Their fathers or overlords are Pleiadians. When we say white, like we say, this is not. This is a construct: white, black, and races. But we're dealing with, when you're looking at the Adamites, they were grafted, and the DNA of the Pleiadians was used. And this is why when you see the Pleiadians, who are from Arcturus, and they were in contact with, like Hitler dealing with the Ashtar command. When you look at them, they are blonde hair, blue eye, transparent skin beings, right? And when you're talking about Yaqub, that's dealing with, they influenced him to create the beings known as the Flugerods, right? Which were before the Adamites of 6,000 years ago. They were 8,400 years ago. All right, that's for you, Grace. Rahubat family, 3-hour teacher. Can you help with something to teach a 2 and 7-year-old? Oh yeah, absolutely. Look, we've got all the, the Lahej kids material. Can you see it? Yeah. And we've got a lot of children's scrolls and coloring books and all kinds of stuff. So again, prophecy, temple babies, yeah. You can make sure you're in our Telegram group. We can then send you or give you that information. A lot of it is available here. All right. Yeah, we have lots of stuff for there's so much that big shout out to Temple Babies for all the content and material and things they're producing, because the future is really about the children. Sometimes we kind of don't put the emphasis on the children, and so they're doing a great job of doing that, and we obviously stock their products. So yeah, prophecy, get in touch and we'll definitely send you more information. Gavin again, greetings my brother. Do you have any gatherings in Guyana, South America? Go on the United Sabians Worldwide website. All the locations are there, and if there isn't one directly, then connect with the nearest one to start and have that link. And then obviously, as we say, we're doing a lot of work to make sure. We need help as well, because it's a big job to spread wu-sabat to the world and some 7-8 billion people on the planet. So we do need to have more outlets and people that will help in terms of teaching. But you can do even now what you can by utilizing social media and share and repost our videos and so on. This channel is for educational purposes. We teach and we have books and references and many sources where you can do your own research, but it is for educational purposes, all right? So yeah, so the children can learn and grow with right knowledge, right wisdom, and right understanding as they grow. All right. Yeah, that's good. Me and my sister used to sleep with the. Okay. Rahubat Saken, how does one achieve awareness in a dream? I appreciate the work you're putting in. DD, that's 3524. That's part of your training. That's a great question, because we have forgotten how to navigate when we visit these different realms. So it comes with you working. Leave yourself notes and signs and do things when you travel, so that if you go back there, you're going to remember. And that's part of the way of, as you say, training your awareness in a dream. I don't know if that was clear for you, but like, leave yourself messages. Have you watched a film called Inception? Is Inception the one with the dreams? I think it is. Yeah, watch that. That will give you a visual representation of what I'm trying to say, so that you can. Did you ever watch that movie with Ben Affleck where he came? Gosh, what's the name of the film? He basically left himself messages because he knew he was going to come back, and like this is a good example, an analogy. Like, let's say you have a one of those secure boxes and you leave something there, and then he left clues so that when he came back, eventually he followed the clues to go to his security box. Paycheck, that's the one. Yeah, I might watch that again. It's so long I haven't seen it. It's a good movie. But movies are used in a way to show you things where you're using all your senses, your visuals, your different aesthetics, like your sound, the light, everything. And it's good to teach you what's going on. So yeah, watch that movie. Pinch yourself as well to see if you're in a dream or not. Again, remember these lives, we literally try to answer so many questions, so we as much as possible don't really go into the scrolls, and that's why it's important to connect with us, attend classes, study the scrolls yourself, make it make sense for you. You have to put the puzzle together, because only you know how much they've scrambled your brain, like the confusion of like, why doesn't that make sense? I've got this question, I've got that question. Only you know what questions you need answered, you see? So it's important that you are part of the learning process. So you have to study. There's no quick fix like religion dips you in water and you're born again and now like, that's it, you're good. Someone's died for your sins and they're gonna do all the work and you just gonna stroll into a place called heaven that's confirmed. So we give you the reality, and sometimes that's what you need to wake up. All right, let's keep going. I'm gonna run. We have literally 10 minutes left. This time goes so quickly. When we are learning our Hajj of time, what does it bring? Why does it bring out excitement even while at work? It's all I think about. Isn't it, Crollo L? Is beautiful, because what it's doing for you is putting you back to where you were supposed to be. So imagine you've been broken and now you're being fixed, and the tones of vibration and the frequency of the language. And if you're already studying the language, if you don't know, we have a course, online course to help you learn the language, and a few little tips or secrets about our languages. It was the original language, the first language on the planet. So by learning that, you in effect learn all the other languages as well as you're going along, because they're branches from it. Some branches have gone so far that they're completely off, but nevertheless, you will start to see how when you go back to the root, everything else falls in place. So yeah, I know what you mean. It's so beautiful, the language, when we're all, excuse me, we all still have different accents, different pronunciations, and all of that will fall in place. The main thing is to start using it, use what you know, and yeah, we'll post a link again for the language in the chat, and it recalibrates you. It literally is rewiring you from a genetic level. Excuse me. You can contact loved ones in the astral realms through meditation. You can indeed, and you can contact them by doing certain rituals that we give you direct instructions of how to do it. Miss Batia language, very simple if one has interest of knowing it. Exactly, because Wakat, Wakat time is Wakati ni Swahili. Yeah, Tasu is 9. Yeah, you will see the similarities. That's why people try to always take the credit and say, oh, they see a little bit of Arabic in it or a little bit of Hebrew or a little bit of whatever. They're like, oh, that's ours. No, it's the other way around. Yeah, so, yeah, you're right. Grace. Ever learning, yep. Oh, thank you, yeah. Thank you. So, we're not advertising, are we? I remember the master, yeah. Like the master is like he said he can teach for like, let's say 5 days straight, non-stop without eating, drinking, going toilet or nothing. Where we just do our best as his students, and well, yeah, sometimes I'll be teaching literally all day. And yeah, someone was asking about health. The master teaches us that you can cure any disease and anything. You just have to know how. Most of the time, we are responsible for our bad health with the food intake, with our thoughts, with holding on to anger and certain trauma. And this is all stored in your cells. And if you do not release it, because your cells have memory, if you don't release it and don't deal with things, you're going to make yourself ill. When I get ill, I literally only get ill when I get colds. And that's because of overworking. So again, we need to know when not to work too hard and relax and meditate and do all the positive things as well. Well, yeah, you can literally cure yourself. That's if you haven't allowed the cells to degenerate to the point of no return, where you can't regenerate, So, like there are different levels, like your body will literally, it's designed to heal itself if you do the right things. And you don't wait till it's so bad that, it's literally impossible to do anything about. Right, next question. This is from Ricardo. Rahubat Saken, what's the best take for who have the... Oh yeah, I didn't answer the question about Duswa, the brother were asking. Yeah, that would be great. I mean, Duswa is doing his thing. Maybe, yeah, we can set that up. So we'll look into that. Okay, yeah. What's the best take for who have the appendix removed, and why this is happening when you are a teenager? What can affect your life, and what's the best way to live without the appendix? Yeah, one of the things that the master said, and in answering that question, because many people get their appendix removed and their tonsils removed when they're young, and they worry when they learn that those parts are needed in terms of, like you being able to do certain things, like they were partly how you were able to levitate and, certain things. So the master's answered that, and he's like, if you're chosen, if you're one of the, the people that gets to receive their barythry gland back and so forth, they can just replace things that need to be replaced. So don't, sorry, I've lost the chat, Zamal. Don't worry, focus on the things you do have and doing what you can do. And yeah, so they will replace it. That's what he said, essentially. Tawatak. Zamal, there's no bookstore in my area. How do I start one? That's from Eric Johnson. Connect with us and we will help you. That's Facebook. Oh gosh, there's so many questions on Facebook now. Let me see. We literally have 3 minutes left. I have a dream of a people that come together in love, a people that have had enough of hate. That's, wow, that's a long. I can't read all that now, but it sounds nice and positive, and it's true. It's about changing the energy and people coming together in love and unity. Obviously, I didn't read all of it because it's a lot. Someone from Kenya. Adult children blind cannot see what is happening very near. Okay. How can your teachings reach a man in an Australian jail that has no internet available? That's why we have the books. We have sent books, and we do send books to people in prison, incarcerated. So that's one of the ways you can do it. Yeah, send them books. Because when you're able to, have time on your hand, and you can actually be able to focus and read and study the book without distractions and any influence from anyone else. So yes, that's a great way. Send them books. Oh, somebody already said that. All right, I'm just skimming through now because we are running out of time. If he has questions, I cannot explain. Okay, right. The next thing is join our Telegram groups, join our classes if you want to continue studying and learning. We got a few donations here. Asia Green, thank you. Sekhet Ra as well, thank you. I'm just trying to see if there's any more questions. Greetings, my question is about the cross. The cross that Jesus was crucified on. Is there any physical evidence of this? No, because it's called fiction. The cross fiction. They say crucifixion. Look at the word cross fiction. It was a fictional story because it didn't happen. Obviously, we're running out of time. So go back and watch some of the videos on OSM. Join our Telegram group. There's so much information we've already provided on that. Fiction means not true. It's the temple that's being built for Nana, but that's the one. The question is not the ballroom, but the one. Israel getting land to do that, yeah. So that is for Nana. How can you live well before have your? Okay. I'm gonna pick one more question for the end. Are we in all? Yeah, are we in an alternative timeline from the original? Because I feel like I've done everything I'm doing before. Even when I saw the Mind Scroll by Baba, it's like I knew I had to read it. Yeah, watch the series called Continuum, because the master has explained this, and listen to there's a Partarak Mafkuzet and also Parbananu, right? Those two will explain and talk about, the different timelines and the fact that we are multi-dimensional beings on different timelines. So you can experience things from different timelines. But the one that matters is the one in this cycle with Parnabab Yanun that's going to get you to where we need to get to. All right, folks, we've run out of time. I think I've answered most of the questions. There are a few that we can kind of elaborate on if you join the group. We want to thank everyone that's been supporting OSM Vision, supporting us. We have a lot of work to do, and we want people to start going to the stores, go to the communities, get involved, bring your piece of the puzzle together so that we can, if we don't, we only have ourselves to blame for whatever we find ourselves in. So let's make our own reality by doing what we need to do. All right. Look out for the next class coming up on Tuesday.
4 verse 1 is out on Friday.
Oh yeah, the 4 verse
3.
3. Yeah, I had to process that. Yeah, another video coming out, 4 verses 3. And you can help us. Go in, set the notification so you get notified when it's premiering. Comment where you're watching from. Share it to other people. Pana Babia Nuns, coming home, do your bit. You know, like, you'll be surprised just how much you can help by just your visualization, your meditation, your chanting. You know, it's not just always about financial support, even though obviously we're fighting a system that is based on financial, you know what I mean? Like, that's what they utilize. So we have to do our best. Until next week, same time, same place. Wadu Moisar.